If you are looking for the I chose to pitch to Josh Naylor in a high leverage situation support group, you meet in the basement with the Athletics and the White Sox with the therapist. If you are looking for the Good Times, Good Fives baseball podcast, you are in the right place. This is Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show today. I want to thank everyone who has commented on the new fun graphics. I emailed our graphics guy to let him know how much he liked them, and he really appreciated that. So just passing the good vibes along. I will say today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. And to the person who hates our humor in the show, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm never going to cease to make jokes about Ben Lively's options. Now that I've said that, I am Jeff Ellis, one of your two hosts here. It's going to be a fun show because Justin had 42 takes of the cold open at the start. So
it's just going to be a laugh track at some point.
It's going to be, we're having some fun with this one, but how can you not have fun? This team is a lot of fun. It was a fun weekend for a team that had 2 sweeps all of last year. Man, it was nice to finally just get that off, to get that first sweep, get the monkey off your back. And I'm hoping we'll get another one soon, and then another one after that. And then they'll have already surpassed last year's total before we even get to May. That's my hope. I guess we got to do the formal introduction. We got yelled at when we stopped doing them. So I'm Jeff Ellis, one of your two hosts. I've been here since the beginning of the whole baseball network. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst for Scout and 24/7. So again, I was a national guy. I love you all, but I don't need your hot takes on the draft.
I love the confidence, Jeff. Yes, I love it. I wouldn't know anything about the draft if it wasn't for Jeff. So the little bit I do know, I get from Jeff, and I've learned a lot. I have not been a national draft guy. I'm Justin Ladd. I have been here since October of 2022 when the vibes were starting to come down, but they're back up now. We're bringing them back. But I was also the managing editor of Indians/Guardians Baseball Insider from 2028 to 2022 before I joined this podcast. And I also have freelance covering the Guardians/Indians and the farm system, going all the way back to 2015 when I was full-time with the News Herald and the Morning Journal. This was a cold weekend, I want to say, first of all. When someone's going to be like, oh, you're complaining about the weather. You're doing a podcast and you're already complaining when it was a great weekend. I was at the game Saturday. It was freezing. It was one of the colder games I've been to, and I sat through the snow opener in 07. It was rough. Comment, let me know if you were at the snow opener 07. I was there, and it was cold, and I think I was colder on Saturday at the game. But it was W's for Cleveland all weekend. You had Friday night, the Guardians looked great. They hit Joe Boyle around, who arguably has been one of the Athletics' better starters, at least has one of the higher upsides. They crushed him, and Saturday, the Cavs won their first playoff game. That was awesome.
Yeah,
go listen to our friends over at Locked On
Cavaliers.
Fun
Saturday.
Yeah, and then I really thought, to be honest with you, I was downtown for my father-in-law's birthday party / retirement party, and I thought, man, we're going to the Guardians game. I bet you have good attendance because if the Cavs win, some people will stick around, go to the Guardians game afterwards, make a day of it. Guardians didn't have great attendance as much as I thought, but the fans that were there were good, and it was a lot of fun. They won that game after the Cavs won. And then Sunday, we were so close. We'll talk about this. We were so close to getting a starter going 6 innings. But Tanner Bibee was awesome.
It was your jinx again. You were like, he's doing it. He's going to do it.
It's not just me, man. It's everybody's just waiting for it. We're going to talk about this, obviously. But
can I throw something out and interrupt you just before? I want to before we get into any of the, there's this tendency, and I've seen it online, to be like, well, it's Oakland. Can I point out that Oakland is in a pretty tough division and has a better record than the Twins? That they have a better record than the Astros. Mm-hmm. Are the Athletics great? No, but this is not the Athletics of a year ago. This is not the Athletics / Royals that were the bottom. That were essentially living the major league life, the movie. So these were solid performances, solid wins. They won these games. Almost going away. Great. Multiple players showing up. So I just want to nip that in the bud. Yes, nip in the bud before anyone gets into it or uses that as like a talk down or a negative point. And the Red Sox just won 3 in a row. They just got a sweep after they left Cleveland. So Cleveland's facing some teams.
this year Cleveland is 6-1 against Oakland after today's win. And what was the final score today? It was 6-2. So that's they scored 51 runs and allowed 18 to Oakland this year. That's a pretty good run differential. I'm not going to do the math really quickly because that's not my forte. But 51-18. Okay. Last year they were 5-1 against Oakland. They only outscored them by 9 runs last year. So Oakland was a worse team a year ago, and Cleveland had a hard time outscoring. They won 5 out of 6, but they only outscored them by 9 runs. And they scored 37 runs in 6 games. In 7 this year, they scored 51, and then we allowed 18. So not only, yes, they're beating up on Oakland, and Oakland's not a good team. They're not the worst team. They're not the White Sox. Again, your support group meets in the basement with all the other people who are crying tears of sadness. They're beating them handily. Like, they're not just going out there and they're not just, okay, they won 2-0 and they won 4-3. Like, last year, okay, if you look at the first time they played Oakland last year, they won those games 6-5 and 12-11. They lost on a walk-off 4-3. They beat them 6-4. And then when they swept them last year, which was their first sweep of the year, which again didn't come until June, 3-2, 7-6, 6-1. They had one game that was by more than 1 run. Now you're going out there and you're beating these teams like you should. Yes, Oakland's not good. So the fact that not only are you beating them, but you're beating them handily. That's the key thing, I think, is you're scoring more runs. And despite the fact that the starters, again, we're at, 15 straight games without a performance of 6 innings, you're still winning handily. You're not being challenged all that much. Class A pitched in a non-save situation just because they have an off day tomorrow, and he hasn't pitched that much. So enjoy it and don't get mad about the schedule because they're beating them good. Yes, that's Cleveland's. That should be our City Connect uniform, Jeff. The front shouldn't say Cleveland; it just should say enjoy them. Nobody's going to get mad about that, right? That won't trigger anybody, surely.
No, of course. Why would it? Yeah, it's, I don't know, like,
no fun. Don't have fun on this podcast. Don't enjoy listening.
I know. I had and I tried to say that on Saturday night, and there's some people who just want to still like look at the negative. It's like, why can't we just have fun? This is such a fun team right now. I want to. All of this.
Who's
great.
the king of fun? Josh Naylor is the king of fun. Not for everybody else.
Not if you're an opponent. I'm still kind of shocked that he's not more hated by like opponents, just because the bigness to his reactions. We saw what happened when with New York, but like he
didn't like that. Yeah, no. Chicago, they can't stand him again. Yeah. Chicago and Oakland, you've got your own support group now. I pitched the Josh Naylor in a clutch situation, and you made a mistake.
He's gonna have nowhere he can sign as a free agent, right? So he's just got to stay here because he's
out of options. Is that what you're saying? He
has no options. There's no options for him.
He is just on another planet, man. Like, he is the crux of the offense right now. Like, we're gonna talk. We said on Friday, like, we feel good about where this team is because of Jose not hitting really, even though they're still winning. But man, Josh Naylor, like, he's hitting lefties, he's hitting for power. His walk rate is finally
out of the gate a year ago, so it's nice to see it.
Yeah, he was getting a little unlucky to start last year, but everything looks great. Like, he just is he's the middle of the order bat. Everyone's like, right-handed power bat. Josh Naylor. Doesn't matter, man. This is the exact argument we're having.
A good hitter. End of story.
He is hitting lefties and righties. He's hitting for power. He is a middle of the order hitter, and he's hitting lefties and righties. This is our core argument for the draft right now. Doesn't matter. It took him some time to figure it out, but it doesn't matter where you hit because guess what? Good hitters just hit, and that's what Josh Naylor's doing. End of story.
No, that's true. I mean, your best hitters hit.
Your best hitters hit. And if you want to go a step further, again, everyone, if someone at work or wherever you're listening to this says, "Oh, I hope to beat Oakland," or "They're just beating Oakland," big deal. 4+ runs this year. Go back to Dave Wendell, who got us on this roll with the stat every day, or Dave Wendell, who was talking about how many times they're scoring 4 runs. They have now scored 4 or more runs in 17 of 22 games this year. That's fantastic. 4 or more runs. And that's even without pitching, going 6 innings to start. And they're still winning. They're 15-2. We'll talk a little bit more about the comparison to that in the second segment, but you're doing good because of the bullpen. And I think we should talk about Tanner Bibee as well, because he was really good. he wasn't as good as we hoped, but he was really good, and I feel good about where he's headed. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about more of the offense and some comparisons to why you can feel good about it coming up. Jeff, real quick before we do that, the number to know for the next segment is 10. So if you're listening to this, or if you want to noodle on why 10 matters, think about that, and we will answer that for you in just a moment on Locked On Guardians.
Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performance. eBay Motors is full of options: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has your options covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. If eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit right every time, your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you'll need, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Let's talk about our friends over at Monopoly Go. So Monopoly Go is taking the you versus your friends. They're taking the Among Us. They're taking the Fortnite. They're taking what is working, the competitive multiplayer, and bringing it to everyone's favorite board game. And that is, of course, Monopoly. The first game we all learned could go on for days or hours and have fun with, but now it's a lot faster. It's a different take on it. It's a new way, and it's been downloaded over 150 million times because it's that good. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but on hundreds. So it's full of options of Monopoly board games in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But again, the best part is messing with your friends. You can charge them rent. You can rob their vaults, and the leaderboards will show you who the biggest tycoon is. But it's not just the competitive side that loves it. See, Justin's got it as well. You can team up with friends and people all around the world and time tournaments during huge rewards. So get the game, join your friends, download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play.
Guardians are off on Monday. Finally an off day. They really needed that. But on Tuesday, Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus are back. Boston is visiting. You can catch all that action on your SiriusXM app. Just search Guardians on the app. All right, Jeff.
Should we tease about if things don't fall apart, sometimes they do, we might have a guest tomorrow.
Yes, we might have a special guest on
tomorrow's show. Guest who is a person everyone will know and is familiar with. And
friend of the show.
Be a fun time.
Friend of the show. All right, Jeff, why do we think the number 10 is a number to know?
That's how many options Ben Lively has.
It's unlimited. Ben Lively, we've learned, has unlimited options, but only one baseball option.
It's the number of nearly the number of strikeouts Tanner had today. I thought he was going to get to it, but
it was close. I thought he was too. No, so we were talking about 4+ runs, right? The Guardians have scored 4+ runs in 17 games, so 15-2 when they do that. So I went back and looked through 22 games in 2022 because obviously last year was dog water for a lot of things. This year, really bad. I really, so I keep thinking, let's throw out last year. Let's go back to 2022 when the vibes were good. How were the Guardians doing when things were going good? That team was slow out of the gate, honestly, in 2022. They were trying to find their footing. After 22 games in 2022, they were only 10-12. Weren't great. They had scored 4 or more runs through 22 games that year 10 times. So we just said that the Guardians have done it 17 times through 22 games. In 2022, when things were magical and vibey and all that good stuff, only 10 times early in the year. They were 8-2, which was good. So Guardians offense so far outpacing the good vibes, good BABIP, all that fun stuff of 2022 this year. So if you're thinking about, you're feeling 22 and this is 22, maybe this is the better version of the Guardians' dink and dunk offense. They're hitting the ball harder. They're middle of the pack in home runs, which again, we said when we did the season preview show, we said, what offensive numbers do the Guardians have to reach to be a playoff contender? And we said, if they are middle of the pack offensively, just middle of the pack, not even top tier, middle of the pack, they would be fine. And God, we sure didn't predict that the pitching would be the way it is, right? We definitely didn't see that happening. But hey, things are good anyway. Guardians are 14th in baseball in homers at 22. That's
Never did not expect that. Did not expect, especially with Jose's struggles. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. They are 5th in slugging at 411. They are 6th and weighted runs created plus at 114. So they are doing good things offensively early on. And we did not expect the starting pitching to be like this. But let's talk about Tanner Bibee. The Guardians are 15 games in a row now without a starting pitcher going 6 innings. Somehow they are 11-4. But Tanner Bibee was awesome. I thought he was going to do it. I really did. I think he got screwed a little. The umpire I didn't think was great today on Sunday. And Bo Naylor, it was a wild pitch on that strikeout that a runner got down to first down. They called it a wild pitch, but I think Naylor could have blocked it. I think Hedges probably blocks that. So that he should have got out of that inning. Gabriel Arias made a throwing error.
They try to make it sound like there was a glove issue. I know you don't necessarily agree, but that was the big discussion on the television broadcast was a glove issue.
So either way, that's bad luck for Tanner Bibee.
Yeah.
He should have gotten through 6. The pitch count shouldn't have been 97 when it was. He did walk a batter late. He gave up a hit, so he didn't get there. But this is honestly, outside of not getting through 6, this was the Tanner Bibee you and I were expecting coming into the year. The pitch mix was there. The changeup crushed Oakland. The slider was great. The fastball command was there. This is the guy we know. And I think this is the guy that is ready to lead the staff. I expect this from now on from him.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Fair. Yeah.
He was utterly fantastic. The secondary pitches were just making them look foolish. He'll get there eventually. I have full faith in Tanner, and I think this is the performance we were kind of waiting on for him for a bit.
Are you encouraged by, again, it's Oakland, but we should still say again that Oakland is still not the worst team the Guardians have faced. The White Sox are. And McKenzie was arguably worse against the White Sox than he was against Oakland this weekend. He had a 2-walk first inning on Friday night, but then, McKenzie kind of settled in. He was averaging only 90 with the fastball, but he did get to 93. The slider had 7 swings and misses out of 11 total. He threw the slider for strikes, 13 called strikes in the slider. Are you encouraged by McKenzie? Do you feel like this is maybe a step in the right direction? Do you still need to see more?
I'd still need to see a little bit more. I didn't watch all of the performance, if I'm being honest, on Friday. I got to see parts and pieces of it. I was kind of flipping around with some of the college going-ons as well. Kind of had my attention. So there was that part of it, and the game moved relatively quickly as well. We had a school event, so I kind of missed the start. I had to watch what I could on replay later, but just nice to see him do anything positive. Let's be honest. He had not had anything really positive you could say about a Triston McKenzie appearance until this one.
Yeah, I thought he was much better on Friday. Again, he missed some bats. He commanded the slider. The fastball control was a little better. Oakland's not as bad as the White Sox, and he arguably looked worse against the White Sox. I'm not fully sold on where things are with McKenzie right now, but you definitely needed to see a positive sign from him, and you got one. So, hey, the next start out comes against Boston, and you hope he can build on that. Their lineup isn't all that great either, so let's hope he can. And then, again, Friday we talked about where this team is, being 16-6 right now. At least they were coming into the weekend. They were not 16-6, but they are now. And, Jose Ramirez had a couple hits over the weekend. He drove on a couple runs. He was fine. But he hasn't looked anywhere near like the Jose Ramirez. He got the day off Sunday, which apparently he was kicking and screaming about. But, hey, he got Sunday off. The Guardians are off Monday. They got him back-to-back days off. They're going to need that. First of all, I love that because he wants to play every game. And they're going to
can't let him do it
at some point.
You got to at some point stand up to Jose. It can't always be him. Like that year they let him play hurt. I'm still kind of shocked that there was, letting him be in the home run derby is still mind blowing. His thumb was broken, right?
Yeah, they told him hit from the right side, but
it's still like at some point you got to put your foot down, right? Like you have to be that one. A lot of it, I know what one of our listeners will get upset. We haven't mentioned Quan yet, so we'll get to him. Don't worry. I'll just go ahead and say, Quan is someone who did some amazing, continuing to do some amazing things. We had the starting pitching
on Sunday. Just saying.
But he also, what was it going into Saturday's game? He had 6 games of 3 or more hits, which in the first 21 games, I think was the last guy to do that was Lou Boudreau. Like no one had done it. And all the other examples, are obviously from very long. He has been, does he still lead the league in hits? I mean, he's been amazing. It's like for as good as Naylor has been, Quana's been just as good in those two. And Jimenez is also, it's like that is where it's getting done. It's those three guys. But yeah, you'll get Gavin Williams back soon. We'll save that.
We're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, in a minute. But yeah, this is gonna get better because the pitching is gonna improve just by adding Williams.
Yeah, the starting pitching is gonna get better. Tanner pitched really well Sunday. He is on track to get back to where he was last year, I think. Allen was better Friday. He had some rough spots, but I think he's getting better. Again, I think they intentionally slow played the staff. They did this in 2022, and the starting pitching was kind of rough out of the gate in 2022, and they got better as the season went along. And I think they did the same thing in spring training this year with how they slow played guys. Yes, you're not going to get Shane Bieber back, but I still feel like, again, Bibee is going to keep getting better. We haven't seen the best of him this year. We haven't seen the best of Allen. We haven't seen it Williams at all. We haven't seen the best of McKenzie, but the injury thing, it is what it is. And we'll see about that fifth starter spot. I don't know. But the starting pitching will get better. At some point, they will get some guys going 6 innings or more. And then hopefully that'll make up for whatever offense might trickle off in the bullpen if they have some hiccups. So, and Jose Ramirez is going to get back to his level. He is too good of a player not to. And that is a great sign for Cleveland because they're banking these wins now. They're playing well. And those guys are those spots are going to get back to form, and that will help you, hedge off whatever kind of stuff comes up when they hit a rough patch, which, at some point will happen. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into what else is good coming up. Yeah, more reinforcements are coming soon. We'll talk about that. The schedule coming ahead this week for the Guardians, and we'll get into some draft talk, of course, because college baseball over the weekend had some more interesting stuff for us. So have all that to look forward to. I had myself a good weekend on FanDuel twice this weekend. I took the Guardians plus or minus 1.5, and I took them to score. I took the over under. I took the over on at 7.5 runs Saturday and Sunday, and I cashed out both times. So Guardians, they're combining for 8 runs with the other team. They're winning by more than 2 runs. Pretty good bets. But if that's not your thing, it is playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's in full swing, as we talked about, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed, $150 win or lose. So you can bet everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks. Get your bets in for Cavs Game 2 on Monday as you're listening to this, all in the app that is safe and secure and easy to use. As I said before, security for these apps is so important in today's day and age. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And, of course, when Guardians pick things back up on Tuesday, it'll be Ben Lively, who has all the options in the world, just not any of them baseball, and Tanner Houck for the Red Sox. You can catch that on Sirius XM.
Who was very good last time.
Yeah, it's the same exact matchup. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out on Tuesday. We'll get to that. But reinforcements are coming soon. So you had Gavin Williams throw a 3-inning sim game down in Arizona over the weekend. He is going to be coming back to Cleveland to kind of work through things with Cleveland and the brass and talk about his health. And the next step for him should be a rehab assignment. So we'll see what comes out of his meeting with the brass and how he's feeling. But no bad reports from his sim game. So we'll see what happens. And then Sam Henches threw an inning on Friday at Akron. He struck out a batter, looked pretty good by all reports. So, I would think 3 more outings for him, maybe 2 at the least. He's definitely going to want to pitch a back-to-back, and they might want him to pitch 2 innings. So I would say maybe 3 outings, but could be back as soon as, next week when they face Houston and Atlanta. So that's great. Speaking of which, they got a tougher slate ahead. You got Boston coming in, who Cleveland did do well against. And then they went out and won 3 in a row, like you said, Jeff. And then you've got Houston, who they stink right now. Houston's not very good. They got Verlander back. They lost Christian Javier. Hunter Brown has been terrible this year. Alex Bregman's not hitting anything. Yordan Alvarez is like the only guy in that lineup. Jose Abreu is lost. He doesn't barely exist anymore. So that'll be interesting. We got Atlanta. So the end of the month should be very interesting for the Guardians. So Tuesday, I had this wrong on the screen if you're looking, but Tuesday it's Ben Lively, Tanner Houck. Wednesday, Carlos Carrasco and TBD. I'm not sure who TBD is, quite frankly, but we'll see if the Red Sox are listening. And then Wednesday and Thursday in the finale, it is Triston McKenzie and Brian Bayo, who is also a very good young starter. So should be a good series. And Rafael Devers is supposed to be back for the Red Sox too, but he's still got a banged up knee. But who knows? The Red Sox are kind of a chaotic team right now. Jeff, do you want to go into some college baseball weekend update stuff?
Yeah, we had there's both the good and the bad. It was the first time Ryan Prager really got lit up all year in terms of the bad, in terms of guys we discussed on the show. Of course, the story was Jack Caglione and the home run streak. The interesting thing is, though, even with that home run streak, he's only got one more home run than Braden Montgomery. I feel like Montgomery, who Alabama A&M, it was a high scoring weekend in that matchup, but Montgomery somehow flying under the radar. Jack, of course, tied a record, so that's not surprisingly that he would be the big news in terms of what we're seeing people talk about. But yeah, I think right now it is an interesting race. I'm very curious to see how everything kind of goes down the stretch with these players. I'm not going to get into the, predictions or anything like that. But yeah, I think right now it's a fun time. I'm looking forward to some of these matchups where you get to see some of these hitters maybe face some of the better pitchers. It's weird. Like, let's just be honest. There's something weird going on in college baseball right now. Christian Moore at Tennessee is going to become their all-time home run leader. We've seen Condon in 2 years become the all-time home run leader at Georgia. We've seen Bazana, who is
Gordon Beckham. Come on.
I mean, Gordon Beckham was the 10th overall pick. He was not good as a pro, but he was, he moved quickly through the minors. Like, he was a big prospect. He's the greatest hitter in Georgia Major League history. Former coworker for us on Locked On. But yeah, there's something weird with the baseball. Like, and here's the thing: a year ago, there was stories of guys like freezing bats and messing with weights and doing all sorts of crazy things, and we don't know how much was true or not true. But you heard the rumors, and I'm not saying anyone's doing that now. But I'm just going to say, isn't it weird to anyone else that all of a sudden every single home run record is being broken by every single team, often in 100 less at bats or sometimes 200 less at bats? Something's up.
And we're out of the BB core or the in the BB core era. So
it's weird. Like, it is just a weird time right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm not throwing any accusations at anyone because I have no idea what's going on. I'm the last to know when someone is pulling some things. So yeah, I just think
it's worth raising an eyebrow at.
It definitely makes me go, huh. And yeah, part of it could also just be if you're out there and you want to look at Occam's razor, and at least most likely reason is the likely one. Pitching's bad, and pitching development has not been good. And you can look at the teams that have like multiple guys who are going to get drafted this year, and the development's been pretty poor at a lot of those programs for a while now. And yeah, so there's a lot of weirdness, but that shouldn't change the fact that the top of this year's draft is fun. And Cleveland is the difference between 1 and 11, I'm just going to harp on this again, is huge. Like, you're talking about, getting a chance to pick whoever you want, or being the Tigers at 11, where you're like, hey, if we're lucky, maybe Connor Griffin slides to us. Like, right? Like, maybe if we're lucky, we get, who's the next college guy? It's like, I don't even know. Like, Trey Yasevich. Like, it's not great. I don't know. Jack's not getting there. I mean, I think he's still top 8 pretty solidly. So it's like, man, every day, thank our lucky stars for the Tigers finishing second in the division.
Tigers finished in second last year with those 2 wins. They have that to fall back on. That really ended up mattering. I also wanted to say about people online talking about Jack's home run streak. Everyone's getting up in arms about this, and he's a great player. Obviously, he's a very talented player. No one's questioning the talent level. The walks are an issue as a pitcher, and the thing I was saying too is, like, you've got Josh Naylor. Like, if we're going to compare it to what the Guardians have, because there are people who think that Jack is still in play at 1-1, and it's a very slim chance, if anything. I disagree too. Josh Naylor is kind of a hacker. Tyler Freeman's kind of a hacker.
Was he in the movie with Angelina Jolie and Johnny Lee Miller?
Oh, I haven't seen that, so you're going over my head. I've seen a lot of movies that one. That's not great, but he's a flasher for the White Sox and the Athletics.
Oh,
He's definitely
don't say
a slasher
that.
really for them.
Don't want to no flashers here.
Slasher, not
Slasher. Oh, flasher. I thought you were talking about.
Yes.
Give me some back to my Subway days.
So those guys have very hackerish approaches in terms of they like to chase, and those guys make a lot of contact out of the zone. Say with Will Brennan. So there are people who are, you have to wonder, like, does Cleveland not care about that as much? But you have a lot. You brought up a lot of good points when we were texting about. Okay, yeah, Jack might make a lot of contact out of the zone. He might be a unicorn. Sometimes Cleveland likes unicorns, and they don't mind this approach so much. But there are a lot of other reasons why it's just not going. I don't think it's going to fly at 1-1. And
I think like the most important thing is if you're gonna, he's a first base only. So if you're taking a first baseman there, why wouldn't you take Kurtz?
Exactly. And it's okay to take a unicorn at 15, at 22 or 23, where Cleveland has been drafting a ton. Yes. You don't want to go like super safe, but you also don't want to blow this pick. And could Jack Caglione wind up being a superstar? Sure, he could. He has the talent level. It's just a bigger risk to get there. But you also have guys who have great talent levels too, like Montgomery and Bazana and Kurtz and Condon. And quite frankly, I think Kurtz is 4 at this point. Much as I like him, I think he is a clear 4 right now. All those other guys have high ceilings too, and they're more probable to get there. So if the Guardians were picking 11th or 8th, like you said, if he gets to 8, I would say, yeah, no problem taking Jack at 8 because he's clearly the best player there, and that's the best you're going to get. But when you're taking 1-1, it's too big of a risk. I still think so.
Yeah. And safety is safety is what goes first in the draft. There's always high ceiling guys you can come back to, you can chase later. Ceiling is always there. Safety is what is not there later. So you want the best mix.
Yeah, you want the best mix of upside, but also making sure you feel confident about that player getting to the upside, which is why Bazana is considered so strongly and why Condon is definitely above that. And Montgomery as well. I do think Montgomery is firmly in the 1-1 mix. I do. Yeah, switch hitter. The data is so close. And I think Montgomery is the youngest of all those 3, if I'm not mistaken. He's younger than Condon, younger than Bazana.
You might be right. I got to double check. He's younger than Condon and Bazana. I'm pretty sure about that.
So that plays in for the Guardians too. Montgomery got walked a ton this weekend. Condon homered twice. I forget who they played, but whoever they played, it was garbage. They didn't play.
Was it Ole Miss?
It was Ole Miss. Ole Miss is terrible this year. And unfortunately, Nick Kurtz had a rough weekend. He did not hit well against Florida State and Jamie Arnold. God,
Jamie Arnold's really good.
Draft.
He's really good.
But Florida State outside of Duke is probably the best pitching he's seen all year, and he struggled. So there is that. Okay, well, that's about it today. Jeff, did we learn anything new today? Do you feel like you're smarter?
I mean, we're always smarter. I think so. At the end of the day, there's always some learning, some ways to take away. There's always some fun with it. But that's the important thing. Is fun. Hopefully, you had fun today, and that's what we are here to do: is provide some fun. It's a fun team. Let's have fun with the podcast. Let's have fun.
We're gonna try to have fun tomorrow.
Yeah, that is playing well and just excelling right now with the manager pulling all the right levers. So thank you for joining us, rating and reviewing, downloading. It helps. Thank you for all of the comments. All of that helps drive the algorithm. So we appreciate all of that. And as always, make sure you're tuning in every single day and go Guardians, go.